So I guess I should tell you what show we're doing. Obviously, you know by the title. We are doing The Wicked Game starring Daouoffroad. As today, I had the pleasure of seeing Daouoffroad here in New York City for their Wicked Game FanMeet. It was lovely seeing them. I'm going to go more in depth on how all of that went down in just a little bit, but we're going to discuss the show that started all of this. I was going to say started it all, but like they technically were like on a Produce 101 type show, I think. So that's not the show that started it all. It's that one. But yeah, so let's get to it. So the synopsis for this one is kind of long. But, you know, that's what my dramas is like. You never know what you're going to get. So let's just begin. A former police officer then takes a gig guarding Pheem, the youngest son of a private hospital owner. On the hospital's opening day, an assassination attempt is made against Pheem. Fortunately, Then came to his rescue, and impressed by Than's skills, Pheem asked him to be his personal bodyguard. Than is an easygoing, straightforward guy. As he gets closer to Pheem, he finds the man to be quite the opposite of him, cold and cunning. When continuous attempts are made on his life and he's exposed to more of the family's cold relationship, he begins to see the hurt and the loneliness beneath the cold exterior. Meanwhile, Than's warmth and humor begins to thaw him. That first paragraph was a run-on sentence and it just repeated itself. Whatever. So The Wicked Game is Daouoffroad's third series together. Previously, they had done Love in Translation and Century of Love. Century of Love was actually one of the first of 5 BLs that I had watched within months of each other. They've become one of my favorite couples. I do adore watching them. I love them. I am one of their very many defenders whenever people are like, they're not actually together. They are together. They are one of the few actual couples who are not only just dating in their shows, but dating IRL. And they're very cute. They're very talented. Both of them are singers, not just actors. So from the 3 shows that they have done, The Wicked Game is very different from Love in the Air and Century of Love. Love in the Air was more of a comedic show. Century of Love had more of a drama. This one kind of takes that more to an extreme. That one, I will say, also had a bit of fantasy elements to it in a sense. This one is more of, it gives mafia vibes in the sense that the whole family's kind of corrupt, and it gives a mafia type family feel, you know. Pheem is the illegitimate son of this big hospital owner, like one of the biggest in Thailand. He has returned to Thailand from, I think they said he's in Singapore, because his father is basically trying to pick an heir to take over the hospital. And he is using this as a chance to take revenge on his older brother, who is partly responsible for the death of his mother. So to kind of really easily explain this a little bit better. So Pheem, Offroad's character, is one of 3 siblings from this one really terrible dad, business owner, to the point where I couldn't even bother remembering this man's name. In every single note, you just heard me say the dad. So you have his father, his brother Chet, who's the only legitimate son. He is the son of the wife, the other 2, his sister, Riza, I think it's how it's pronounced. So Pheem and Riza are the child of 2 different mistresses. So they're not even from the same mother. This man had 3 children, 2 illegitimate. And from my understanding from the dynamic, it seems like he didn't care about any of his wives. I say wives, any of the mother of his children. I was really confused as to how they never really explained how Pem's mother got involved with this man. A part of it feels like a false, like a forced relationship than anything else. I kind of get the sense of like his conception may not have been consensual, if you get my drift. Because there's just no place, no mention of like mom ever being really in love with this man. Or maybe she was, and it was a deluded, like, he's gonna leave his wife for me type thing. I don't know. They really don't give much explanation. But both him and his half-sister are from 2 different mothers. It's something that their brother Chet kind of throws, because they were kind of all forced to grow up with each other. And during those times, all three mothers were kind of placed to like be around each other is the other thing, because it is mentioned, I will say later on, that Riza's mother was forced out. She's not dead, as far as we're aware. There's no other mention of her. We don't see her, but she essentially was forced away. And was kind of by Chet's mother, so the wife. And it seems like Pem was kind of given more of the abuse from the family because he was the other son. Obviously, to them, daughters don't inherit anything. So she kind of is just like there because she's born and she's a girl. So they don't really, they still abuse her, but not in the sense of like how they abuse him. Whereas he has a chance of like possibly taking the company out from Chet's and it's kind of sad because it's really just Chet's mother, the wife, kind of like doing all of this to them when they were children, because there is a scene where they try to like show that Chet and Pem kind of being like, you don't be friends with him. He could take this away from you. This company is yours. And that made him kind of loco crazy as he got older. Homeboy was fucking insane. He literally gets hooked on fentanyl when he becomes an adult. It actually is kind of like the main gist of why Dao's character is in this. So Dao's character is a former police officer who gets kicked off the team. He's like I believe he's the captain too, or like priming to be a captain, because there is a drug bust that's happening, a drug crime going on, and a bag of money is found at his desk because it's alluded that the police seem to think that he was bribed to kind of keep hush hush of all the drugs that are being sold. So they kind of get involved with each other because during one of these because there's a bunch of assassination attempts on this man's life. He kind of is driving off, and from my memory, because it's been a while since I watched that first episode, he bumps into Pem while running off, and he ends up crashing into him. And then it's basically like, you got to pay me for busting my bike and the fact that I'm hurt and need to go to the hospital. And Pam is like, you're trying to extort me off for money. Oh my God, you hit him. You literally hit him. It's just so, their relationship is always one of those, like, even in this role, the chemistry was just there. They're just so funny when they play off each other. It's like the tension was just already there. I was already like waiting for them to like, start making out. But I think it's just because I feel like that's what Dao always wants to do. He's so in love. Oh my God, it's so crazy because there are actors in this show that we've seen in other shows. Like, put a pin on the Pem thing because this is the next thing. It's talking about all the characters. So Pem's mom had a sister. It's the only relative on his mom's side that he's still connected to, his aunt. It's the mom from Cat for Cash. When she first appeared on the screen, I was like, where the hell have I seen this woman before? It took me a hot minute and I was like, oh my God, that's the mom. Here she is playing another motherly role. She's basically taking care of Pem, trying to keep him grounded while also helping him get revenge on his father. And then later on in the series, like we see, I think she's this other actress, one of the actresses from the Heart Killers who had like a small role in like a club. She's also in this series. So I was like, I feel like there are a lot of actors. I don't know I don't think either of them are GMO actors, or maybe they are, but like it makes me wonder how some contracts for certain actors works. Because I thought this was crazy. It's very much a revenge plot. Pem is trying to get revenge on his whole family for what they did to his mother. The wife of his father, not his mom, his stepmom, I guess you could say, killed his mother, basically crashed into her car. Homegirl was drunk. They showed this in a flashback. Pam's mom was trying to get him away to safety, away from this horrific family. And the mother kind of just crashes into her and literally forces alcohol down her throat, I guess to try to make it seem like she was drunk driving and it was her fault for like almost getting them killed. And then basically they sent him off. His dad later on in the series is like, well, I sent him off to protect him from you because your mother basically grained into you that you're supposed to like hate him. And I could kind of see that as being a thing because homeboy literally tries to kill his brother like 50 times in the show. Like the amount of times that he sends someone to try to kill him and then like his dad like thwarts him and it like beats his ass is like, my guy, you keep getting caught. Stop trying. You are not good at this. is insane to me. What's also insane to me is that his mother's grave, like the graveyard of the family, is the Naughty Babe house, the Max Nat show. It's literally that house. I was like, where have I seen this fucking place before? And then it clicked. So I love when BLs do that. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I know where this place is at. So yeah, he's trying to get revenge for his mom. And then by doing so, he's trying to basically steal the company. He's trying to become the heir from right from under his brother's nose, because it's his brother's fault that his mom is dead technically. Well, his mom, but like same difference. So he comes back from Singapore, I think it was Singapore, and basically starts working for his dad. He is the black sheep of the family. His sister kind of like in the beginning seems to like care for him, but in all honesty, she herself has her own revenge plot, and that is basically because she's the girl never given a fair chance. She wants to steal the company from under both her brother's noses. So his big thing on wanting to like get revenge on his brother is the fact that he finds out that a bunch of fentanyl, I think it's what it's called, fentanyl, the drug, has been missing. A lot of like bottles of it have been missing from the hospital. And there has been a rise in fentanyl being sold on like the black market, being used at like these parties. And he's trying to figure out who's doing it. He knows it's his brother. He knows because he realizes his brother's friends have been posting photos of him at these parties, and he goes and investigates. By this point, he has gotten Than to join him and be his bodyguard, because he tells him like, you are trying to solve this case. Because if you solve this case, this is a case that involves you. You were a part of it. I think is basically what he alludes to. If you help me solve it, you can take the evidence to clear your name and get back on the force. That's not what he's actually trying to do. He's lying to him. Because of course he is. This whole family's like whole wackadoo. So I will say this. If you are not someone, I feel like I'm not going to put a trigger warning in the beginning of this episode, because it happens rather quickly. But if you are not someone who is like big on non-consensual scenes like that, there is at least one. It happens a lot in BL. So like proceed with caution. He goes to this drug party to try to figure out who's doing it. And he ends up getting drugged, unfortunately, and his brother's friends try to harm him. Luckily, they are stopped by Than, who saves him. And it's kind of like the beginning of their relationship. Pheem is very flirty with him. Like, of course, who wouldn't? Let me tell you, Dao is a very sexy man. So is Offroad. They are both very sexy men. And when you got someone who's a very sexy man, who's also a very sexy former cop, there's some fantasies there. And I get it. They kind of start building this relationship where he's very flirty, and the tension is there, and they start working together, and Than starts to trust him in a way that, he hadn't in the beginning. And he truly starts to believe that like they're going to solve this case together, because Chet is like, has to be taken down, and justice and all of that, to the point where like he becomes so enthralled with him that it's kind of funny that in one scene he says to him, we're going to keep this strictly a business relationship. And it's like, don't make promises you can't keep, because you don't. The reason why he's more into wanting to do it is that, and the more reason why you're kind of just like, oh, this is going to hit really hard when the shit hits the fan, is that they really fall for each other. They don't get together right away, but specifically Than starts to fall for him rather like quickly. Like one of the ways that he tries to get on his dad's side is that they need to get an investor, I guess, for this like big wellness retreat project that they're doing for the hospital. They were, I guess, going to use, I think was a governor as a way to like get this whole project going. And then no joke, the governor's car blows up. So they need to get someone new, which like when that happened, I was like, whoa, like what the fuck? I'm really trying to figure out if we ever found out who blew up the fucking car. I can't remember. I just thought that was wild. So Pheem has a sugar daddy in Singapore. It's this like this man. And I had to say, if nothing else, watch this series just so that you know what's going on, but also watch the series so you can watch the reactions. So the sugar daddy's name is Jason. And they have some scenes where Offred has to get kind of like, you know, sassy with him. And my favorite thing when this show was coming out was that they had the cast react. Anytime these scenes would come off, Dao would get really jealous. And I loved it. I was just like, I get it, man. That's your boy. Don't worry. He's all yours. It's pretend. I love that about these two. That's my thing. You're watching that tension. And I'm not saying that only real couples bring off this tension, but there's something about when you get an actual couple to play opposite each other in a role like this that just works so well. You really felt that he was falling for him hard, and you really saw that jealousy really seep through. And they are such good actors in general that if they weren't really together, like, I feel like they would still pull it off so well. I would say this show was really well done. It looks really great. The one thing that I couldn't deal with was that whenever they had to do a scene where someone was getting shot, which happens a lot, anytime someone got shot and killed, it looked bad. It looked like shit. Like, I looked at that, I was like, wow, this looks really graphic and gory, but it looks like crap. They could have put a little more money towards that. But whatever. So obviously, he's helping him out, and you know that this is going to hit the fan at some point. And it happens more so towards the end. Not towards the end, but so early in the series, how Fan is trying to move on in terms of no longer being a cop is that he decides to open his own cafe. He kind of refuses Pem at first in terms of wanting to help him. And Pem pays off some guys to basically destroy the cafe and blame it and say it was Chet trying to do it because he doesn't want him to get too close to the answer. And they end up working together. Pem is really smart because even when it doesn't go his way, he's able to kind of fix it. So he ends up figuring out the main seller of those drugs who gets the drug is a employee named Watt, who's been taken away, hidden by Chet so that he can't reveal that he's involved, that Chet himself is involved in this. Pem ends up, like, with the help of his sister, who is basically being like, I also want to take him down because he'll bring a bad reputation to the hospital, like blah, blah, blah. They are able to trick Chet's bodyguard to revealing where Watt's been hidden. And then after Fan finds out that it was Pem that paid these guys to destroy the cafe, he finds the video of them finding Watt. And it's really heartbreaking and it's sad because while this all is happening, they form a relationship. And it's not just like at first, or like it slowly becomes a romantic relationship, but it gets to the point where they kind of spend time with each other and start liking being in each other's company. Like he ends up going out with Dan and his two cop friends. They go out to do karaoke and get drunk. And when he was a child, Pem had been bullied once at a park. And this older boy ended up saving him, giving him this toy ring, being like, I'll be the one to always protect you, because he calls himself this character named Thundercop. And as they're in the park, he's kind of retelling the story of how he, as a child, protected this little boy. So it clicks to him that this was who he considered to be his first love. Which I am like, oh, this is like fate, beautiful. I love when Daouoffroad does this type of story, I think, because Century of Love was also like fated love. That was more like red string theory love. And I love that this is kind of like they found each other again type thing. It's like he will be the piece that kind of saves Pem from himself. But before that could happen, when it's revealed that like Pem was like using him and was never going to give him the evidence so that he could be a cop again, he decides that he's going to run off with the evidence. And it's this whole thing of like, justice needs to be served. And Pem talks about how like, no, it doesn't. The world is corrupt. Sometimes it doesn't, because nothing is ever going to be done. Nothing's going to happen. My father will pay it off and it won't get out. And it'll ruin me if you do this, blah, blah, blah. And he pulls out a gun on him. They pull out guns on each other, and while Fan can't shoot him, Pem does. And it kind of shows you that it's no longer almost about revenge anymore. He has become what he has hated the most. He has become his family. It's like sad. And he ends up getting everything he wants, but then he loses the most important thing, and that's Fan. And then, you're dealing with Chet, who's kind of like psychotic. And then the shit really hits the fan when Chet's mother dies, and then he's not invited to the funeral. And then he ends up murdering his dad by accident. And while that is happening, his sister pulls a double on Pem and accuses him of killing their father as a way for her to try to take over the company. It's like this whole thing. The series is really good. I think everyone should watch it. It really is just, I enjoyed it a lot. And it just showed to me just how versatile Dow and Off-Road can be. And I want another serious drama from them. And I want more comedy. I want more shows from them. I think they're doing a historical drama next. And I hope that's right because I want them in more genre-esque series. I just love it. But basically, not to do this word for word, I will say in terms of Chet, he is psychotic. He's losing it because he was close to getting everything that he wanted. His bodyguard was in love with him. Like, no joke. I kind of was a little disappointed they never kissed. I was kind of waiting for it. I could have sworn I thought they did, but nope, they never kissed. And, you know, Chet ends up dying, and then the bodyguard like gets his revenge, and then everyone dies except for our two leads. But to go back on the whole clever thing, so basically after Pem is like accused by his siblings of killing their father, even though he didn't, he runs off. By this point, him and Than were not talking because Than kind of was like, I can't be with you after you lied to me. And this is kind of where Than learns that, like, yeah, he finally was able to get his revenge, but he lost the one thing. Than ends up like bringing him to his family's house to protect him because despite everything, he still loves him enough to protect him. One of the bigger reasons why they no longer are talking to each other is because Pem's dad basically realizes that Than was the cop and was going to reveal everything and basically tells him to prove your loyalty to me and for you to be my rightful heir, you have to kill him. And he does, like, technically kills him. He gets his aunt, who by this point is angry with him because she sees what he's become, to like give him a drug to like make it seem like he's dead and he's not. And then he has to hide out himself. And now in turn, he now has to hide out after he's being accused. And they hide out at Than's family's, and he's seeing this happy family, and he kind of realizes that like he could have had all of that had he not let the revenge consume him. Like, you know, there's different ways he could have done it, and it's like sad. And then I think that's when him and Than kind of fall for each other. I will say he runs off, and then Than catches up to him, and I love how like they end up sleeping together. And the note that I wrote here was like, that's one way to stop him from running away, I guess. But the chemistry was just chemistrying. Like, they are so good playing off each other. I just love it so much. And then they get married. They get married. And it's like, it's a sweet thing, but it's also like part of his plan. Because he decides like they get married and he's able to write a will. Pem decides like, okay, I'm probably going to have to die. I had to sacrifice myself to my sister because she's never going to start. Because by this point, the sister's taken over because Chet's like fucking crazy and she plans on, I guess, killing him at some point too. He realizes like the only way that they're going to be free is to like sacrifice himself. So they marry each other so that Pem can write a will so that all of his assets, anything that is his, will go to Pem. He ends up surviving, by the way, because they explained it, but it was such a long conversation. But it was kind of one of those things where I just was obsessed with the whole cuttingness and everything. I just feel like with every passing series that Daou and Off-Road does, they show more and more what fantastic actors they are. And, you know, they're not the type of actor, like, and this is not to say that actors who do a lot of NC scenes are terrible, but I love how like a lot of the tension and stuff comes from just them and not needing to do like really explicit scenes. I would love if they did more because I think they're really hot together. But like just scenes of them getting into each other's faces in this series was enough for me to be like, oh yeah, it's chemistrying. And I just thought it was fantastic. I do love that like pretty much all the siblings were like gay because I think even the sister kind of had a thing for her bodyguard, but I think her bodyguard weren't together. I love that we got another wedding from them because in Century Love they also got married, and even though this one had like what was supposed to be a sad result, it is much like Century Love more of a happy result. And they get to live happily ever after. Although my whole thing was that something that was never answered that I wish they had answered was that who gets the hospital? Because I know it's revealed that like the family's terrible, but like Pem ends up changing his name and Stan has video evidence that, like, I know the necklace had a camera in it, so technically he was like proven innocent of not killing his father because they got the siblings to admit that they did it. So I'm like, who gets the hospital? Does Stan get the hospital because technically he gets all of his husband's assets now that he's a widower? Or is it just the hospital gets stuck? Because I don't think the hospital would get dissolved because it's a hospital. Yeah, I think this is one of those series I think everyone should definitely watch. And it's just that intense. If you want like an intense, like not mafia, but like mafia-esque vibes, this is definitely the one for you. And if you want a couple, a pairing who are just so loving and just the chemistry's chemistrying, definitely watch them. I just adore them. I adore them so much. So yeah, I'm not going too beat for beat. I kind of picked points that I thought were important to speak about, and I kind of just wanted to explain it. I'm gonna get a lot of the reason why we're doing the show is because I want to talk about the fan meet. It's a fantastic show. In terms of rating, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think there was some aspects that could have been improved, but overall it's like not a perfect 10 for me, but it's not like a 7. I think 8 is the right number for it. I could definitely see myself rewatching some of these episodes. I just wish the effects were better. So obviously, the reason we are doing this episode, like I mentioned in the beginning, is that I did go to the Daouoffroad fan meet. So I thought perfect timing for us to do the Wicked Game. It was a great series, it's enjoyable, and I got the chance to see 2 of my favorite Thai actors. So this event was run by Starstruck Media. I know we've talked about them before, and it wasn't in a really great light. This time around, so this will be my 3rd event with Starstruck Media. I had gone to their first Daouo and Off-Road event last year for Century of Love. I only had GA for that one, so I didn't really have much to say. I probably will talk a little bit more about that fan meet if we ever do Century of Love. It probably won't be long because I don't remember much. And it's like I said, I was more GA than anything else. But I will say to compare it to that first one, the only positive that I can give, that I can think of at the top of my head, is that I am glad that this time around they gave every tier a sort of high touch benefit. So all the VIPs had high touch, and then GA got a high buy session. So just saying hi, very different from high touch, but at least they got to, get up close to the actors and actually get to say hi, as opposed to like last time where it was just VIP, which again, it's not to say that GA needs to have that. I just think something simple like that is like great because these tickets, even for GA, can be very expensive. So to give every tier at least some type of benefit, I think makes the ticket a lot more worth it, in my opinion. I can't compare the shows because again, it's very different. I don't remember much. My one big gripe is that once again, we were behind by like 45 minutes. We had been told VIP did not have to be there until our benefits didn't start till 11:30, which was the photos. We did not have fan sign. We did get a signed poster, which I love. I will be posting a photo of it. Shout out to the people who gave me some of the freebies that I got after the show. If you got a freebie from me, hey. I didn't bring too many this time around because Melrose Ballroom is kind of like a tricky where I'm never sure how many to bring. I wish I would have brought more than what I did, but I'll remember that for next time. I will say shout out to the girl before I go more in depth on the event. I got a few really cute stickers and stuff, but shout out to the girl who gave me, if you got like 3 photos from her, one of the photos she gave me was my favorite scene from Century of Love, where Off-Road is dressed like the fox demon. I love that scene. I told her this. I am going to hold that close to my heart. So I love that. Definitely thank you. Love that freebie. I loved all of it. I loved all the stuff that I got. I love handing out freebies. I love being able to get freebies. I just think it's such a fun way to kind of bring the fan community together and share our love for these actors and stuff. So we were outside for about 45 minutes longer than we needed to, which was annoying again. I guess fan side started late. There wasn't a lot of communication until we finally started moving, which was annoying. We got in. High touch was first. I will say the way things were organized were a little bit better. I just think I was more frustrated in terms of being delayed again. I don't like that every time we go to one of these shows, there's always a delay, and I don't seem to understand why. And Lycan had some delays, so yeah, it's not like it never happens, but it's just like Ponpuin went like smoothly in my opinion. Boston Knoll was perfect, and it was in the same venue, but I just don't understand why. And I won't be going to the TT Popor or the Thomas Kong event. I will be going to Fort Pete, so I'm curious to hear how those go. Those are on the same weekend, which I think is kind of insane that they're gonna do like 3 fan meets back to back, but who am I? So I was really frustrated with the delay. I feel like it really just set us off. And then the show itself, I just feel like it was almost as if Dowell was kind of running the show. I feel like I don't know what it is about. It could have been done better, the show itself. The performances was great, them singing. They were extremely funny. There literally was a moment where Off-Road picks up Dowell and spins him around. But like, I feel like things could have been handled much better. Like, they decided to do a rapid fire fan question thing, which, by the way, I didn't know we were allowed to like submit questions. I don't know if that was only given to a certain amount of people in like VVIP, or if VIP got to submit anything. It would have been, I guess, nice if we all got to submit, but I guess they only selected like allowed a few. I don't know. I don't know how that was chosen, but whatever. But you're telling them they only get 5 minutes to rapid fire answer, and they can speak English, but they're not like fluent English speakers. So I don't understand why the person who was hosting the event didn't just read the questions herself and was having them do it, because you were having a struggle with some of the words that were there, because obviously they didn't seem to understand, didn't know what they were and had to wait for the translator to explain. But it took them a hot second to like read some of them, and I just think giving them 5 minutes to do a rapid fire didn't make sense, considering that Dao talks a mile a minute. They did some fun charade games with fans, so those got fan picked. Those were fun. Dowell was hilarious. Off-Road was hilarious. I took shout out to all the people who got picked. Good job. You guys did great. I thought it was so funny. They did a red flag, green flag type game where they gave the audience before the show like a red piece of paper and a green piece of paper, and they would like say a scenario that like related to the show. My issue was that I feel like they really could have done better in choosing like scenarios, because how is it that we would do like, is it a red flag for someone to fake your death? And then we would pick red flag, green flag. I don't, it's a really bad example of like one of them. And then instead of like moving on to another scenario, they would redo the same scenario again, but then add something to it to make it like the opposite of what the original choice was. So like if we said it was a red flag, they would change it so that, we could say now it's a green flag because, we said that it was to save you or something. And I'm like, you couldn't think of more scenarios than just repeating the same one over and over again with just different alterations. Like, it just is like, I feel like we were just filling in time. I just feel like things weren't planned out as much, but whatever. Performances were great. Dowell performed White Rabbit. He was fantastic. And then he had, after the song was done, him and Off-Road, he had Off-Road do the dance. And I was just like, oh my God. And it was great because like last time he did La 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 and I was so excited. Off-Road also sang one of his songs. Dowell got to perform Only You, and it was so cute. Oh my God. I just love watching him. He'd perform and dance. By the way, he was dressed, let me tell you, they were just very, very sexy. I gotta say, I love these two. The Off-Road was more simple, but like the way that Off-Road looked, I was like, okay, I see you. I was sitting next to this woman and she thought that he was wearing like because from like far away it kind of almost looked like he was wearing like harnesses, and I'm like, I could see what you mean. I thought he was wearing like a sequin like corset or something. It's like a basic talk. Someone on Twitter had posted the top he was wearing, but they both looked really, really good. So yeah, like I said, I'll give Starstruck this. It went a little bit better than previously. I am getting tired of the fact that every time we get there, you're telling us to be there at a certain time, and then you're somehow still delayed. And it's exhausting. The show I think ended on time, but I feel like because that happens, because I said 30 minutes behind, I found out afterwards that it was 45 minutes behind. So the show still ended on time. We ended at 4. My issue was it made it feel more rushed. Now, I don't know if this specific fan meet was not sold out. There were still tickets available. So I don't know how many GA tickets. I know VVIP was sold out. I think there were still VIP tickets still available. So I don't know how many of like each tier was there that needed to do photos and stuff. So maybe that played into the factor that because photos maybe didn't take as long as it would have had it been fully sold out, that's why we were able to keep the show ending on time. But a part of me is also like, is that maybe why the show kind of still felt a little rushed? Or is it just because of the like, I don't know. For me, I felt like I feel like they need to, in my, again, I know I'm being harsh on Star Trek, but this is really just this is kind of just me reviewing it. I'm so great. I will say this, despite everything I have said about Star Trek in the past, and, I do have a lot more negatives than positives to say. I am grateful that they are able to bring these actors here and plan these events. I hope it opens. It's clearly opens the door for more companies to do so besides just them. So that maybe more places. I can't say I want them to be the only company to be doing these because that's kind of like a monopoly type thing, I guess. But basically, what I'm saying is that I appreciate that they are at least bringing these actors here and we get these opportunities. I'm happy that Daouoffroad were given another chance to come to New York again and see their fans, and I'm grateful that I was able to get a higher tier ticket than last time. But again, there's still things to work on. And all I could say is that, if I don't think there's going to be as much criticism from people on like heart killers or whatever, but I'm reviewing it because that's what we're doing. So it is what it is. So, but yeah, the whole idea of like it still being delayed was frustrating because again, we were outside. There was a lot of like sunspots because there was no shade. And I just feel like if there was a little more communication because it was frustrating to have someone tell me like, oh, someone's going to come around and give you your benefits and like check you in. And then we're waiting there. No one's coming in. We still don't have our benefits. And then it's like, oh, once we get to the door, could have just told us that. It just would have been nice. It would have been nice if we would have had that instead of us like standing here wondering what's going on. Like even if someone had come back in there and said, hey, we're just running a few minutes behind because would have satisfied us, I think, in many ways. In terms of the benefits, so we did high touch first and then the photo. I'm always indifferent about if whether or not high touch should be before or after the show. My opinion, I feel like high touch works better. I guess high buy is because of the high buy and the high touch are two very different things. That's why it's before the show. I do feel like high touch should definitely always be an end of the show thing. But again, I get it because high touch is not high. So to kind of explain in case, because I know it's confusing, high touch, you do get to give like a high five. You do get to actually touch the artist, hence why it's called a high touch because you're saying hi and you're touching. In terms of a high buy, it's basically just greeting the artist. You are not permitted to give them a high five or anything like that. You are just waving at them as you leave. And I can understand why that might be difficult to maybe control. But I always find it weird when a high touch is like at the beginning. And then we did the photo. So I'm like, we're saying hi to them. I guess it works sometimes because I'm like, okay, we're saying hi to them and then they're going to see us again. So, I was a couple rows back, so I got to watch a few people go in. This is my criticism, not towards Starstruck, but towards some of the fans. Guys, I understand wanting to break the rules. Sometimes you do it. I don't think it was appropriate for a lot of you guys, in my opinion, to stop the line to like point your camera at because we were allowed to film the high touch. Point yourself into the camera to try to get like an extra photo or start talking to them, like hold their hand and saying something to them. Like move along. This is a safety thing. You're backing up a line. I've been on that stage. Those steps are not safe for someone to just be standing there for long periods of time. It is not safe to be doing that. It is you could be making the artist uncomfortable. Now, Daouoffroad are very much more lax artists in my opinion, but don't do that. I don't think that was like cool. And like, I don't know. It was like, had we not already been delayed from the beginning, you could have added more the delay that we already had. It's not cool. It's not fair to everyone else because no one else is doing that. Like, I don't want to say it's a pick me thing, but like that's what it kind of feels like. I just don't do that. You don't know these people. You don't know Daouoffroad like that. Don't do that. Just don't do that. It's not cool. I will say so when I got up there. So my birthday obviously is this month. It's by the time we're releasing this, it'll be past my birthday. But when we're recording this, it's the week before my birthday. My birthday's on the 21st. So I bought this ticket as a way to celebrate my birthday because at the time that these had gone on sale, I had not yet bought my my ticket to Thailand. So I have a tiara that I bought years ago from Anastasia on Broadway. It was like $30. I will say that tiara is getting a little bit rough. I don't know how many more times. I only wear it on my birthday because like it's a birthday crown, I guess, for me now, but it hurts when I wear it all day. It gave me a headache. And I do have a birthday sash that says it's my birthday. So I decided to wear it because I was like, fuck it. When we take the photo, I wanted to say that. So because we had the lanyard and because I was recording my high touch and I had my phone closer to my chest so that way I could get a good view of them, they didn't see that my sash said birthday. So they just assumed I was wearing a crown. So when I got off, so it was Off-Road first and then Dao. When Off-Road saw me, so they were giving everyone high fives with two hands. So all they saw was me wearing a crown. So when I got up to Off-Road, he goes, "Oh, princess." They were giving everyone high fives with two hands. I gave them a high five with one hand because again, I was recording it. I know a lot of people weren't recording theirs. I wanted to keep it because in all honesty, I'm glad I did. I wanted that moment forever. But so when I went off to Off-Road and he saw my crown, he goes, "Oh, princess." And I end up missing it partially on the camera because Off-Road was then the one who turned to me next. But Off-Road ends up bowing at me after he calls me a princess. And I was like, and then I go up to Dao and he says, "Oh my God, so pretty, so beautiful." And I was like, so I had a fangirl moment and I love them. They were so sweet. And then we do our high touch. Everyone gets their high touch. And then we set up for the photo. Shout out to the woman who was sitting next to me. I'm sorry I'm blanking on your name. I believe you gave it to me, but it's been so many hours and I'm so tired. She was very sweet. We were chatting a lot about different things, BLs, all that. And I had mentioned that like she actually also gave me a freebie that I will say I really loved. She made these keychains and she had made 3 different ones. And because it was my birthday, she gave me one of each. And I love them. I'm going to put them on my keys so that I can have more BL representation on there. So thank you so much for that. I had told her that like, oh, I really hope that because we had the 4x2 photos. I was like, I really hope that when I go up there, I can hopefully sit next to one of them. It's like the one thing I would really like that because I figured, I didn't want to throw my birthday card. Like I don't want to throw them in the ring, but it's like I was hoping for that because it's a special birthday for me. This is a special. I'm trying to make my birthday really worth it this year. There's been a lot going on with me lately that I just want my birthday starting it now just to be great. And she was very nice. She was like, "Well, I've already sat next to. I think she sat next to Off-Road in a photo. So she's like, I'll help you try to get next to one of them." And so it was every 4 count. So if you were the first 2 on the like 4 count, you got to sit next to them. And we were trying to count down, and luckily her friend had joined us, and she had even said it to her friend, and her friend agreed. So again, to both of you, thank you. The benefit of her friend joining the line and joining us to join the photo with her was that when we got on the stage, she was number 4. I ended up being number 1 for the next group. And the staff was really nice. Every single one of them wished me a happy birthday when they saw me. So one of the staff members, shout out, I don't know if you're listening to this, probably not because it's not like I gave you a freebie. One of the staff members had a bag and he had a Pokemon keychain in his bag. I shouted at him afterwards. I was like, I love your Pokesan keychain in your bag. It's so cute. He wished me a happy birthday and he goes, you're going to sit next to Dao. And I was like, I got so excited. And then when I went out to Daouoffroad, that's when they got a good view of it saying it's my birthday. They both wished me a happy birthday. And it was really sweet. I was so happy to sit next to Dao. We did the heart hand thing for our photos. It's the only photo I have of myself at the event. Everything else is just them and maybe you hearing my screams in the background. So I'm glad I'm going to have that photo and I can't wait to get it. So overall, they were fantastic. We did wait afterwards after the show because obviously since I didn't have to rush to meet up with Lilia since we're recording online, I waited to watch them leave. They came out, waved goodbye at us. I luckily was at the right spot at the right time. They're just fantastic. They're just great and they deserve they are already well-known, recognized people and actors over there. And for me, I'm just like, I want more for them. I love them and I want people to stop giving them like shit about, oh, they're not really together type thing. I want people to stop that because they don't deserve that anymore. And I know I talked about comparing the last FanMeet to this one. I will say another one was that the first time they came down here, they weren't as I don't want to say they weren't as affectionate, but it was very clear they kind of weren't allowing themselves to be kind of lovingly close as they are in Thailand. So like watching them on Running Man. And this time around, they were much more it was more or less like they were distancing each other and didn't want to give too much of like, I hope I'm making sense. It was kind of like they would chat, they would talk to each other and be lovingly, but it was very much like we're still not gonna do like, we're not gonna like touch too much unless it's for like a game or something. I can't remember them being too much touchy-feely the first time around. And this time it was very clear that they were more comfortable being in love. I'm going to say it like that because that's what it was. They were affectionate with each other, hugging each other. They would say that they loved each other, but like played it off as they were talking about their characters. But like, yeah. And I loved it. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a whole like moment. They were talking about Running Man during the running question, the fan questions. And they talk about one of the cast members being like really strong. And then Off-Road goes, I'm strong too. And he picks up Dowell and like starts running around with him, spinning around. And he was so cute because all I could think about was like, that's probably what they're like sometimes in private. They are probably just as affectionate, playful, and loving to each other. And I love that we got to see that. I love that they were comfortable enough to show that to us. And I want that. I want people to stop questioning their relationship. I want people to stop being like, they're not really together. It's all fan service. Shut up. Shut up. All right. Just leave them alone. They're who they are and they love each other. And I love them for that. And I will continue to support them. So that's kind of all I have on the FanMeet. Yeah, there's not much more to say. I feel like they had been announced to be in another show. I'm just gonna look this up right now. I think it's going to be on I think WeTV is doing it. Let me see. Yeah, they're going to be in they're going to be in a drama. I think we had talked about this months ago. I don't know if this is, or it is a BL and they're in the main roles. And I think it's it looks like it's like a murder mystery. It's adapted from a BL. It's called Mon Mreng Mang. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. It looks like it's I think this is a historical drama. This must be. We have no clue when this is coming out, but I hope that when this does come out, we do get another FanMeet for it and that they get to like come here and we get to do this all over again. They did talk during the FanMeet about the fact that they will be releasing more music, so I'm excited for that. I love both of them when they release music. It's always so good. It's definitely they are one of the few artists that have gotten me into T-pop besides Jeff, Lycan, Sugar and Spice. I listen to a lot of Noel stuff. His like what is it, SG thing that he does? Is it SG? I feel like I'm like saying it wrong. I'm sorry, Noel. Yeah, oh, it's S2. I said SG, it's S2. But like, yeah, Down and Offer were definitely the start of it. You know, whenever they do like the themes for their shows and stuff, I love it. Actually, you know what? The other thing, I'll bring this up here because I don't know when else we'll get the chance. Dao is the voice of Lilia. This is actually funny. I don't think I ever told you this. So Dao is the Thai voice actor for Mufasa. Not Mufasa. For I think Scar in the Mufasa movie that they came out with last year. So he has sung Lin-Manuel Miranda songs. I listened to that version of what is the song from the Mufasa movie? I think it's called I've Always Wanted a Brother. You guys should listen to it. He sings very like short in it at the end, but I love it. And I need this man. I love both of them. But for me, I will say this. If Dao could become more fluent in English, and he's already pretty well fluent in English, but I think he needs to be a little more. I would so love. They do Broadway in Thailand, but this is me being selfish because I would want to see it. I want him to play Orpheus in Hadestown. I want him to do it here just because I want to see him in it. I think he would play that role so beautifully. Okay, he is a fantastic singer. And you know what? I feel like for off-road, so yeah, Dao, I would do Hadestown. For off-road, I don't know why I feel like maybe it's because of how like cunning he was in this series. I could so see him doing like Gabe in Next to Normal. Like that intensity. He has that like, because Gabe had those moments of like snarky, like there were some moments in Wicked Game that I'm like, that would be perfect for Gabe in Next to Normal. That didn't maybe because I want a Next to Normal revival. We're supposedly getting it, but I think Off-Road would be good as Gabe in Next to Normal. So those are my musical fan casts. I just think they're fantastic performers and I want them to have more opportunities. So I think we're going to start wrapping this episode up. But of course, before we do that, we have to announce our song of the week. So I kind of had to go through a few songs here and there. Kind of want to pick that right one to fit the vibe. And I think we're going to go with my man, DPR Ian, his song So Beautiful. I think it kind of really fits the vibe of the guys. Actually, Lilia helped me pick it this time, even though she's never watched the show. So yay, Lilia, for being helpful for once. And I'm saying that because you annoyed me this entire episode. Y'all couldn't hear her, but I could. I swear to God. But yeah, we're going to do DPR Ian's So Beautiful. So yeah, that's going to be kind of our wrap for this week's episode. I hope Dowell and Off-Road had a wonderful time while they were here. I know they visited K-Town. They actually went to a bar that I've gone to before, so that was kind of fun to see. I hope they had a great time, and I hope they have a safe trip back home when they do go home. And then look forward to our next episode is going to be our May recap. And then after that, our first episode for the month of June is going to be Only Friends. So look out for those coming soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, your week, and your month. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. All right, guys, that's it for this entry. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. On Twitter, you can find us at FG Diaries Pod. On Tumblr, TikTok, and Instagram, you'll find us at FG Diaries Podcast. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and hope you all have a wonderful fangirly day.
I'm strong. Ladies and gentlemen, please applause. I'm a John Cena. Thank you so much. Our time. I'm okay. Okay, I'm okay. You can do more. Yeah, I like that. Go more. Spin more. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, I like it. Woo-hoo. I love it. Yeah. All right, we gotta take some energy. I want one more. One more. I'm tired.
Last question.
Yeah.
Off-road. Can you sing us a song?
Sing a song? Let's take a break. Breathe.
Got your breath first.
Are you ready? Yep. I can. Okay, I can.